Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be learning how to simplify algebraic fractions. We're going to start today by reminding ourselves about the basic fraction operations. You'll remember that in years past we did fraction addition like this. If we have 4/7 and add 2/7 to that, you'll notice here that they've both got the same denominator. So adding up 4/7 and 2/7 then is just like, say, adding up dogs. 4 dogs plus 2 dogs is 6 dogs. So 4/7 plus 2/7 is 6/7. As long as those denominators are the same, then we just add the numerators. If we've got 3/10 plus, let's say, 1/10, what does that leave us with? 3 plus 1 is 4/10. Subtraction works in the same way. Let's say if we've got 9/10 and we take away 2/10, what does that leave us with? Well, the denominators are the same. We've got tenths here and tenths here, so we just subtract the numerators and we have 7/10. Notice what I didn't do there. I didn't say 3/10 plus 1/10 equals 3 and 1 is 4, 10 and 10 is 20, 4/20. That is not correct. Do not do that. If the denominators are the same, when we're adding up fractions, the denominator stays the same still, and we just add up the numerators. Have a go at this one for yourself. We have 3/17 and 5/17. Well, you would have noticed here that the denominators are the same, so the denominator stays the same, and we just add the numerator. 3/17 and 5/17 make 8/17. Now, most of the time when we're adding fractions, the denominators will not be the same. If we've got 4/5 plus 1/3, for instance, you'll notice that our denominators here, fifths and thirds, are not the same. What we need to do is we need to make them the same. Well, the easiest way to do this, I need to find a common denominator. And what I do is I multiply these two denominators together to get a new common denominator. 5 times 3 is 15, so our new denominator is 15ths. Now, what I have to do, I have to change 4/5 into so many 15ths. How am I going to do that? Well, I say 5 times 3 is 15. If I've multiplied the bottom by 3, I have to multiply the top by 3 as well. 4 times 3 is 12. So 4/5 is equal to 12/15. So I can put that one there. Now I say 1/3 is how many 15ths? Well, 3 times 5 is 15. I've multiplied the bottom by 5. I have to multiply the top by 5 as well. 1 times 5 is 5. So 1/3 is equal to 5/15. Now, can you see here what I've got? I've got 12/15 plus 5/15. The denominator is the same. So the new denominator for my addition is still going to be 15ths, and I just add the numerators. 12 plus 5 is 17. 17/15 is my answer. Now, some of you may be concerned that that here is an improper fraction where the top is bigger than the bottom. But this is not a problem. Don't even worry about it. 17/15 is fine as your answer. Don't change it to 1 and 2/15 or anything. Just leave it as it is. Now, how about this one? If we have 1/3 plus 1/2, what are we going to do here? Well, first thing I'm noticing is that the denominators are not the same. So I can't just add them. I need to make the denominators the same. What do? To find a common denominator, how do I do it? I multiply these two together. 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm changing them both into 6. Then I have to think, 1/3 is equal to how many sixths? Well, 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/3 is equal to 2/6. Next I say 1/2 is equal to how many sixths? Well, 2 times 3 is 6. I've multiplied the bottom by 2. I have to multiply, bottom by 3, I have to multiply the top by 3 as well. That's going to give 3/6. So our problem here becomes 2/6 plus 3/6. Denominators are the same, so it stays the same like that. 2 and 3 is 5. Why don't you have a go at this one? 1/4 plus 2/3. Remember, the first step is to find a common denominator. Have a go at it by yourself. Okay, hopefully you found that your common denominator should be 4 times 3, which is 12. Remember, if your number facts aren't great, just use your calculator to help you with that. Now, I say 1/4 is how many twelfths? 4 times 3, and we need a times 3 there as well. So that's going to be 3 twelfths. And then I need to say 2/3 equals how many twelfths? Well, what am I doing here? Timesing by 4, so I must times by 4 there as well. So that's going to be 8 twelfths. Well, 3 twelfths plus 8 twelfths, it's just like 3 dogs plus 8 dogs. 3 dogs plus 8 dogs would be 11 dogs. 3 twelfths plus 8 twelfths would be 11 twelfths. Did you get that one? One more. How about we try 1/7 plus 1/2? Press pause on the video and see how you go with this one. Okay, when I'm adding fractions, the denominators have to be the same. Those denominators are not the same. I multiply them together to get a common denominator. Now, 1/7 is how many 14ths? Well, times 2 times 2. 1/2 is how many 14ths? Well, that's times 7 times 7. 2 14ths plus 7 14ths is 9 14ths. Hopefully you got that one right all by yourself. Now, I don't know if you noticed something that's going on here that we can do a little bit quicker. What we're going to do, if we've got 1/7 plus 1/2, let's write it out again. We can do what some people call a kind of a butterfly multiplication. So we can say that one times that one. 1 times 7, it's going to be 7, so a 7 goes there. We can say that one times that one. 2 times 1 is 2, that one goes there. The plus stays there in the middle. And on the bottom here, we have 7 times 2. So we're multiplying this way here, and that's 14. 2 plus 7 is 9, so we've got 9 14ths. Let me show you that again because it saves a lot of trouble. If we've got 1/3 plus, 2/5, well, our new denominator is going to be what? New denominator is going to be 3 times 5, which is 15. That's that. Now, here we're going to go that times that one plus that times that one. 1 times 5 is 5. Plus 2 times 3 is 6. That gives us 5 plus 6 is 11 over 15. See how I'm doing this? This is actually just a much quicker way. Let's try 1/2 plus, 3/5. What do we say? What's our new denominator? 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. That goes there. Then what do I do next? I say these two multiplied together, 5 times 1 is 5. These two multiplied together, 2 times 3 is 6. Add them up, 11 over 10. How about you have a go at these three? Press pause on the video. Okay, let's look at this first one. Our new denominator is going to be 7 times 2 is 14. We say that times that plus that times that. 1 7 is 7, 1 2 is 2. Add them up. 7 and 2 is 9 over 14. Next one here, our denominator is 3 times 4, which is 12. And we've got 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 times 1 is 3. That's going to give us 7 over 12. What about this last one? Our new denominator is going to be 5 times 7 is 35. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 5 times 2 is 10. 10 and 17, 7 is 17 over 35. So that's how I add fractions. Now, subtracting fractions is exactly the same. If I've got 1/2, take away 2/7. What I'm going to do, new denominator, 2 times 7 is 14. Then I go like I did before, that times that, 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 2 is 4, but I've got to subtract in there, in the middle. 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 over 14. Exactly the same, except it's subtract instead of add. Can you try this one, please? 9 over 10, take away 1 over 3. Okay, new denominator, 10 times 3 is 30. Then we say 9 3s, 27. 10 1s is 10, and that's minus in there. And so our answer is going to be 17 over 30. Okay, press pause on the video and have a go at these three. Okay, hopefully you're getting quite fast at these ones now. 5 3s are 15, new denominator, 3, 5 2s are 10, 13 over 15. Next one, new denominator, 3 times 4 is 12. That times that, 2 4s are 8, 1 3 is 3, and what have we got in the middle? Minus. 8 minus 3 is 5, 5 over 12. Next one here. Remembering if your number facts aren't great, just use your calculator to help you with the number facts. 10 7s are 70, 9 times 7, 63, 10 times 1 is 10, and that's a minus there. 63 minus 10, 53 over 70. Now, if you're still having trouble with that, what I want you to do is just rewind the video, go back, watch it again, do some more practice, and get really fast at it. If we can get really fast at these ones with numbers, when we make this algebraic, you are going to find it really, really simple, okay? So if you can do these with numbers, you will find the algebra really easy. So it's worth putting in the time, learning how to do this properly. We've now got two more fraction operations to go over, and they are multiplication and division. Multiplication and division are actually even easier than addition and subtraction. Just say I've got 1/2 times 1/3. To multiply fractions, all I do is multiply across the top. So I've got 1 times 1 and multiply across the bottom, 2 times 3. 1 1 is 1, 2 3s are 6. 1/2 times 1/3 equals 1/6. If I've got 3/4 times 1/5, I multiply across the top. 3 times 1 is 3, multiply across the bottom, 4 times 5 is 20, and our answer is 3/20. This one here, 1/7 times 2/3, what do? Multiply across the bottom, across the top, 1 times 2 is 2, multiply across the bottom, 7 times 3 is 21. Here are 3 for you to do yourself. There's no tricks here. Just multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. Okay, here's the answers. 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6, 5 7s, 35. Hardest bit here is knowing your number facts, but your calculator can help you with those. And they're the answers. Okay, let's mix them up now. We've got an addition, a subtraction, and multiplication problem. Press pause on the video and see how quickly you can do all 3 of these. Okay, first one, we're adding fractions, so the denominators have to be the same. They are not the same, so I'm going to make them the same. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 is my new denominator. Then I'm going that times that, 3 5s are 15. 1 times 4 is 4, and it's addition, so it's going to be 19/20. Next one, it's subtraction, so the denominators have to be the same. They're not the same, so I multiply them together. 4 5s are 20, And what's this one going to be? 3 5s are 15, and it's minus 4 times 1 is 4. That's going to give 11 over 20. Now this one here, we're multiplying. How do we multiply fractions? We just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and there we have it. Here is another 3 for you to try yourself. Press pause. Okay, here we go. First up, I'm subtracting fractions. The denominators have to be the same. They're not the same. Multiply them together. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. And we're subtracting. That's going to give us 5/14. Okay, this next one here, we are multiplying. How do I multiply fractions? I multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom, and we're done. This next one here, it's subtraction. So I've got to make the denominators the same. 7 times 3 is 21. And this one, 3 times 3 is 9. It's subtraction again, minus 7 times 1 is 7. 9 minus 7 is 2 over 21. How did you go with those? We've only got one more operation to revise now, and that is division. If I've got 3 over 4, 3/4 divided by 2/5, how do I do that? Watch what I do. I'm going to keep the first one the same. So that's going to go to that one there. 3/4, keep it the same. What do I do next? I'm going to change the divide to times, and I'm going to flip this one over. Do you remember this? Hopefully you remember this from grade 7. We flip that one over. So instead of 2 over 5, it's now 5 over 2. Now what we've got is just a multiplication problem. How do I multiply fractions? Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. 15 over 8, and we're done. So what do I do? Let's go through that again. The first one, I keep it the same. Keep. The sign, I change from division to times. Keep. Change. And the fraction, I flip it. Flip it over. Keep, change, flip. Let's have a look at another one of these. Let's say 2/7 divided by 3/4. What do? I keep the first one the same. I change the divide to a times. And what do I do to the next one? I flip it. 3 over 4 goes to 4 over 3. Now it becomes just a multiplication problem. How do I multiply fractions? Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and we're done. You have a go at this one. Let's go 3/5 divided by 1/2. Okay, so hopefully you kept that one the same. What do we do to the division? We times. And what do we do to the 1 over 2? We change it to 2 over 1. And then it's just a simple multiplication problem. Okay, here are 4 problems to do. We've got a plus, a divide, a times, and a subtraction. Press pause, see if you can get them all correct first go. Okay, hopefully you've got your answers now. We're ready to check them. New denominator, 5 7 is 35. Remember, we're adding, so we need to have the same denominator. We multiply this way, and we're adding, so that's going to go to 29 over 35. Next one. Oh, this is divide. So what do? I keep the first one the same. I change the divide to times, and I flip that second one over, and then it's just a multiplication problem, which I do like that. Third one, this is just a multiplication. How do I multiply fractions? Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, like that. Next one here, this is the subtraction. Okay, so I've got to get the same denominator. 7 times 5 is going to be 35. Then what do I do next? That times that, 3 5s are 15, 7 2s are 14, and I'm subtracting here. 15 minus 14 is 1 over 35. Now, if you can do all 4 of those quite quickly and get them correct, then you are in an excellent spot to succeed doing operations with algebraic fractions. If you're not at that point now, then you need to go back, watch this again, get really good at it, and then move on to the algebraic fractions. Okay, we're now going to look at this problem here. 2x over 3 plus x over 7. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to think firstly, I'm adding fractions and the denominators need to be the same. Are they the same? No. So I need to make them the same. I say 3 times 7 is, what is it? 21. Okay, so our new denominator is going to be 21. What do I do next? I say that times that. What's 2x times 7? Well, what's 2 dogs times 7? 2 lots of 7 is 14. 2 dogs times 7 would be 14 dogs. 2x times 7 would be 14x. Next I say that times that. 3 times x is going to be 3x. And what am I doing here? I'm adding. So 14x plus 3x is going to be 17x. And then I've got over 21. Can you see how I did that was exactly the same as how I did it just adding, say, 2/3 and 1/7? Have a go at this one. Let's do 4x over 5, take away x over 3. Well, I'm subtracting, so I've got to have the same denominator. What's a good common denominator? 5 times 3 is going to be 15. And then what do I do next? I say that times that, 4x times 3. That means 3 lots of 4x. It's going to be 12x. 5 lots of x. 5 lots of x is 5x. And I'm subtracting there. 12x minus 5x. 12 dogs minus 5 dogs. 7 dogs. 12x minus 5x is 7x over 15. And we're done. Next we've got multiplication and division of algebraic fractions. So why don't we say x over 3 times 2 over 5? Well, what do we do when we're multiplying fractions? We multiply across the top. X times 2 is 2x, and we multiply across the bottom. 3 times 5 is 15. Or you might have maybe 3a over 5 times 2b over 7. Same thing here, we multiply across the top. 3a times 2b, well 2 times 3 is 6, a times b is ab, and on the bottom 5 times 7 is 35. Or you might have 3a over b times 5c over 2d. And what would we do there? Simply multiply the top. 5 3s are 15, a times c is ac. On the bottom, b times 2d is going to be 2bd, and we just put them like that. So we're doing exactly the same thing with multiplying as we did, remember when we were just multiplying fractions, we just multiply the top, multiply across the bottom, and if we've got some letters, we just let the letters join in the party. That's just going to be 2ab over 15cd. Now remember, if we've got 2a over 3 times, maybe not 3, let's go 5a over 7. Here it's slightly different. We've got to think 2 times 5 is 10. A times a is actually a squared, isn't it? Over 3 7s are 21. So notice that if I've got an a, multiplying a term with a in it, by a term with a in it, it's going to come to a squared. Final type, we've got division. How do we divide fractions? Well, remember, what do? We keep the first one the same. We change the divide to times. And what do we do with this next one? We're going to flip it. Remember, keep that one the same, change the sign, and then flip the second one. That's a B, by the way, a letter B. That is a B, letter B. It's not a 6. Okay, so what do we do now? Now it's just a multiplication problem. 5a times 7. 5 7s are 35, so 35a. 3 times b is 3b. Try this one. Okay, well, what do we do here? Remember, we keep the first one the same. We change the sign, and we flip the second one. Then we just multiply normally, like that. Okay, here are 4 questions. You might want to have a little look at them. Press pause on the video and see if you can do these ones by yourself. If you can do these ones, you should have no problems with the first half of the exam paper that's got these things on it. Okay, when I'm looking at this first one here, the first things I notice is that the denominators are the same. The denominator's the same, I don't need to do anything tricky. I've just got, it's like I've got 5 dogs take away 2 dogs, which would be 3 dogs. But here I've got 5x over 7 take away 2x over 7, which leaves me with 3x over 7. There's nothing more tricky than that. And down here, I've got different denominators this time, and I'm adding. So I'm going to need to make those the same. So what do? I'm going to say 7 5s are 35. Then I'm just going to say that times that, 2x times 5, that's going to be 10x. 7 times x is 7x, and I'm adding. That's going to mean 10 plus 7 is 17x over 35. Next one here. Oh, this is a divide. How do I divide? Well, I keep the first one the same. I change the divide to times. And what do I do with this one? I flip it. The bottom goes on the top goes on the bottom. Then I just have a straight multiplication problem. 5 times b is 5b. A times 2 is 2a. Just like that. This final one here is just multiplication. I'm just going to multiply across the top. 5x times 2y, 5 times 2 is 10. X times y is xy. Over 9 times 3, 27. Just like that. Okay, here's another set. See if you can do these ones. Press pause. Okay, I'm adding fractions and the denominators are not the same. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make my new denominator. 3 times 4 is 12. And then I say that times that plus that times that. That's going to give me 7a over 12. Next one, I'm subtracting and the denominators are not the same. So again here, I multiply to get my new denominator. That times that times that, and this time I'm subtracting. 4a take away 3a is just 1a, or as we write that, just a. Next one here, this is just a multiplication. To multiply fractions, I multiply across the top. A times b is ab. Multiply across the bottom. 3 times 4 is 12. Next one here, I'm dividing fractions. So what do? I keep the first one the same. I change the divide to times, and then I flip that second one. And then I just multiply. A times 4, 4 times a, 4a. 3 times b, 3b. Okay, and here is another 5. Press pause on the video. Okay, what have we got here? The first one, multiplication. I just multiply across the top. 2a times 2 is 4a. Multiply across the bottom, 15b. Next one here, I've got an addition of fractions and the denominator is already the same. That's good news for us. Then all I need to do is 2a plus 5a is 7a, and then I just keep the denominator the same there, 7a over 3. Next one here, I'm adding the fractions again, but the denominators are not the same. So I need to make my common denominator. 3 times 5 is 15. That times that, plus that times that, 9a. That's going to go 19a over 15. This next one here, I'm subtracting and the denominators are not the same. So I need a new denominator. 3 5s are 15. That times that. Take away that times that. 10a take away 9a is 1a, which I just write as a, over 15. Next one here, I'm dividing. What do? I keep the first one the same. I change the divide to a times, and I flip the second one. Keep, change, flip. Then it is just a multiplication problem. 2a times 2 is 4a. 3 times 5b is 15b, and we're done. Okay, here's another set for you to have a go at. Press pause. Okay, first one, what do we have? It's a multiplication problem. I just multiply across the top. 3 times 2 is 6. A times b is ab. Multiply across the bottom. 4 5s are 20. Now, some of you might remember about simplifying fractions. You might notice that we've got 6 over 20 here, and both of those are even numbers. They can be divided by 2. So if you wanted, you could change that to 3ab over 10. Next one here, oh look, I'm adding fractions and the denominators are both the same. So all I do is say 3a plus 2a is 5a, and I keep the denominator the same. Next one here, I'm multiplying. So what do? I multiply across the top. 3a times 3c, well 3 times 3 is 9, a times c is ac. Over 4 sevens are 28. Next one here, oh, I'm subtracting, but the denominators are not the same. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to need to make the denominators the same. 2 times 3 is 6. Then say that one times that one, 3a, take away. 2 times a is 2a. 3a take away 2a is 1a over 6. Now we don't write that one, remember? If it's just 1a, we just call it a. So rub that one out. It's not wrong to have the 1 there, but its kind of standard form is just to write it as a over 6. Next one here, I'm dividing. What do? I keep the first one the same. I change the divide to times, and then I flip the second one. The 5 goes onto the bottom, and the 2b comes onto the top. Then it's just a straight multiplication. 3a times 2b, 3 2s are 6ab, 4 5s are 20, and then like in the one up above, we can simplify that. 6 over 20, same as 3 over 10, and just keep the AB there. Do you have to do that? Well, it's not technically wrong if you don't, it's just not the simplest form. Don't worry too much about it. If you get to here, you may well get all the marks just for that. Next one here, okay, I'm subtracting, but the denominators are not the same. I need to make them the same. I multiply them together. 3 times 11, 33. Now I say that times that. 2a times 11, 2 11s are 22. 22a, 5 3s are 15, and it's take away. 15a, that's going to give 7a over 33. This next one here, what am I doing? Well, I'm dividing. So what do? I keep the first one the same. I change the division sign to multiply, and then I flip this next one. 3 goes on the top, 2a goes on the bottom. 2a times 3, 6a. 3 times 2a, 6a. Oh, this is interesting, isn't it? I've got exactly the same thing on the top and the bottom. You remember that 5 fifths is the same as 1, isn't it? 2 halves are the same as 1. 6 sixths is the same as 1. Do you know what 6a over 6a is? It is 1. Perhaps you noticed that right back at the beginning. If we had 2a divided by 2a over 3 divided by 2a over 3. If we've got the same thing divided by itself, the answer is just going to be 1, isn't it? Just like if I said 5 divided by 5, 5 people sharing 5 cakes. How many do they get each? 1, okay? Now, if you can do all of those ones that we've done so far, you'll have no problems passing the exam. If you can practice it, you can get really, really good at these. And you can always get them right. There's no tricks here. We just practice it. We learn the skills. I'm sure your teacher has got extra ones for you to practice on right now. There'll be another video coming that's got some more complex ones that'll be good for you to practice some of the really hard questions.